Okay, we've got Jeff's truck here. Studded truck, blown head gaskets, maybe, potentially it is puking. So, what's going on under here? Does have a delete on it, looks like it. I'm trying to see up there. 03, no ICP in the valve cover. So let's do a cold start on it. And then we'll do a degas pressure test, let's see. So what we're gonna do here, we're testing for combustion gas in the cooling system. Plain and simple, I mean, it's fairly primitive. This is not rocket science. Just put a hose, tee it in, and honestly, zip tie it right there and go for a drive and hope your eyes are good enough. What we should do, aren't we just full of ideas? I don't know how many videos I've made where you can't see where the gauge is. There's 15 pounds. So when we're driving it, you'll be able to tell where 15 pounds is. I'm not sure the condition of these head gaskets. It might peg right up to 20 in a second. Some of them take a while to get up to 15. So let's see what happens. We'll go ahead and take a little gander underneath, because anytime there's a potential head gasket job, we want to make sure we look underneath to see the condition of the bell housing. Because there's no use in going in. I mean, we want to have it's not so bad. It's not too bad. There's a drip right there getting ready to fall, but last thing, we could plan this if we're looking at trucks and your head gasket test, I mean, at least take a little gander underneath and see. That way, when we're planning on whether or not to do head gaskets or not, we can also have an idea as to whether or not it needs the engine out reseal with lifters. So we'll see. For that matter, throw some pistons in it, but let's see how it runs. All right, so let's go inside and take a look here. It does have a CTS. That's a good one too. That's the old CTS 1. Yeah, those are like gold mine. They do just about everything the CTS 2, and I think they have a new one now. That one does about the same thing. I mean, I like those. Very clean cut truck. Let's see what it is. Right or not, show the VIN. It's an 04. Okay, so let's get the key on real quick and get this started. Man, I just saw it. 109,000 miles. I wonder why it looks so good. So the head gaskets is not the primary. Well, it is a concern, but it also surges, I think. So we're gonna see what comes up here, and let's look at some data. Okay, 06A. Man, that was freaking drag to chase down. Let's see. Now, most 04s will have VGT vane will not have. Most 04s will have VGT. Most 04s do not have the vane strategy. This one shows up in there. Now I'm sure you can tell by the PCM strategy, but I don't really put a lot of weight into that. Let's just see if it has VGT learn. Okay, yeah. Okay, so if it does not have the learn strategy, from my experience, honestly, it won't even pull it up on IDS. So we do have vane strategy, so it's a good thing I did not clear the codes. We don't want to clear the codes because it'll reset that vane strategy. So let's do a diag first, and then I'll clear the codes, and then we'll make sure it will relearn the vane strategy. That's a little process, but right now we're going to check for head gaskets. You can kind of see on the gauge, you see the blue line? The blue line is 15 pounds, black line is where it's at. So let's, honestly, quick little checks, just stomp the pedal down and make sure all three of them go evenly like that. What do we got? 0 PSI. So I figured I went ahead and went inside, and let's start showing a couple of different things here. So mass airflow. Okay, we had the correlation values. So I'm going to show you something new right now. A very good way to make everybody look smart. 0.4, 0.5 volts on mass airflow. So let's come over here and let's look here. Mass airflow, 0. So we're good. 0, the range is 0.5. So good. Mass airflow checks out okay. MAP is 130, 133 at idle, and 140 at high idle. So 1.3 on MAP volts. We're 1.25. Hair low. That could be the correlation right there. Could be. MAP sensor hose might be a little, could be the sensor shorting out. But we're showing a little bit low on MAP volts. Just to give you an idea what we normally do. So I'm going to kick this off. hang on. I mean, I've said it before, I've never pulled it out, I don't think on video, but we have the resources. I mean, when it comes to a point, what do they say online? Read RTFM, read the manual. Okay, 47.5, 48, let's just watch the cold start. I don't think he's ever had an issue with it. ICP 0.16 is a little low right there, should be 0.19. Let it reset. Okay, there it goes. 0.16, 0.17. That's a little low on ICP right there. I mean, that could be your little bit of oil leak. Okay, FICM at the top. Anything under 45, or yeah, anything under 45 on the FICM at the top. I'm trying to hold it steady here. IPR, anything 84 or below. We don't want 84. Here we go. Fired up good. Watch the FICM. Injectors sound good too. Yeah, that sounds really good. Number 3 is kind of going down a little bit when I shut off compensation. Boy, I can smell that. It's got a catalytic converter on it or something. Hang on. They sure do let off their own little aroma. That's for sure. You can tell when they're on there. So far, it doesn't sound too bad. A lot of these, you hear the little... I'm not even going to say it. It sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good. Okay, so we'll pull this over. Get this hood. Let me do it one-handed. I can't do it one-handed. So our coolant level could be a little lower. I'm going to put a line on it. Something about right there. We don't need that much coolant in it. I mean, a healthy truck with good head gaskets, you can run it all the way full and it won't puke. But when you got any kind of compromised head gaskets, I mean, drop your level down. And honestly, we drop the level down to there even if it doesn't have head gasket failures. Just because it doesn't need that much coolant in there. I mean, gives it a lot more room for expansion. So if the higher you have the coolant in the bottle, when you're at operating temperature, we'll decide if you're at 6 pounds or 8 pounds. Not necessarily a big deal, but it could be a big deal for the long-term life of the hoses and the radiator and all the connections. You know, it's going to last a lot longer at 6 pounds than it will at 8 pounds, but it's still going to function relatively the same. So I'd rather have it at 6 pounds than 8. Granted, your boil over protection is less, but we're talking a couple of degrees. So yeah, it's just, I mean, drop the level down, be nice to it. Okay, I don't know what took so long to do it, but I mean, yeah, I just wrap the hose up so that it doesn't touch anything, because honestly, this low miles truck, it looks good. I don't know why I went through all these years without covering that up. It's covering it with saran wrap so it doesn't put any marks. I mean, if it does put marks, at least we're trying to not have marks. Everything cleaned up. Okay, the gauge right there, you can kind of see the blue. If it gets to the blue, that's 15. Since he does have a CTS, I'm sure he's monitoring oil cooler. We'll go ahead and take a look at it too. But what I want to see right now is, one, if the head gaskets, which they probably are. I mean, it's puking coolant and it's deleted. So, I mean, there's not, you know, it smells like chicken, tastes like chicken. Whatever. Right now, what I'm actually doing is kind of hanging out for a minute and making sure that it comes off the needle, because I don't want to go driving and find out there's a little leak somewhere that's causing it. The other side is, if the head gaskets are bad enough, it will generally overcome any leaks and still build up pressure. I'll go do a quick drive around. Let's see if it goes up off of the peg. It's still on the peg. We probably have a leak because coolant's at 158 degrees and we're not off the peg yet. Wait, it is off the peg. It just lifted. Okay. It's like 90 degrees out here. I'm gonna see if his air conditioner works too. Yeah, we gotta diag that. Make sure the air works. I'm really hoping this truck didn't have a tailgate on it, because it does not have one on it now. Okay, we're gonna go for the first little drive here and see if I can feel the surge. He said it normally does it on a load, so and we got the mass airflow correlation. We'll check that once it gets all the way up to temperature and we get back from the drive. All right, boost is fairly low. 90,000 mile or 109,000 mile 04. Just like the last, I mean, we see them a lot. Low miles. Yeah, we don't have, I mean, we got some boost, but we don't have it all. We don't have it all, nowhere near. I'm gonna turn back around. This video's about to die, so I'm gonna go back. We're up off the peg considerably. Let's go out and take a look at it. Jeez. There you go, it's off the gauge. That's good. It does have an 03 camshaft in it though, you can feel it. It's fairly responsive. Let's see what we see here. Oh man, I'm glad I put that line on there. The problem I'm gonna see right now is we can't really test it until the boost. We cannot really test this with low boost, because low boost will not give us an accurate reading because we're not throwing the same amount of pressure inside. We're not pressing on the head gasket at the same equivalent. If you get what I'm saying, if we build the boost up in a head gasket that might look good right now when it's actually functioning properly and building, let's see what we're getting. Let's see how high it goes. MGP, that's our number. Okay, I'm in it pretty, okay, 21. I'm in it pretty hard, 23. Okay, I don't know if it's tuned or not. That was in it pretty hard. I mean, a healthy truck could build on a hot day like today. I don't even know if hot has to do with it. I mean, a healthy truck could build 26 to, I mean, a hot tuned one, 32 pounds. I mean, this it's not bad though. 21, let's just say it's not bad, but there is potentially a little fuel economy getting lost and a little performance getting lost because we're not pushing all the boost that we need to in there. It does just feel a little laggy, and with the inferred EBP, you might just have to live with it, because I mean, we could go in, clean a turbo, all that, but it's not throwing any issues because of it. It's just honestly not building. I'm only seeing 5 pounds on the Degas gauge. Huh. Wow, that'll be a very, very funny video right there if we are just now proving a Degas cap. You know, this would be a Degas cap issue. Very well could be, because if it's only building 5 pounds and it pukes, then the cap is leaking at 5 pounds. It's not holding enough pressure. I'll go ahead and get turned around and get back to the shop. I'm going to change the cap real quick, and that's another test right now. Once you know that it builds any pressure, that your gauge that you put in is actually plumbed in good, then release the pressure. Just release the pressure and see if it builds right back up again. I mean, that's obviously the end all, because once the coolant expands, there's no more expansion in it. Do you get what I'm saying? When the temperature goes up of the coolant actually takes up more volume. So it pushes out on everything, it expands. That's where you get the pressure at. That's what I was talking about with dropping the coolant level down. You drop the coolant level down, you get a couple more pounds, you get a couple less pounds pushing on all the connections for the cooling system. But right now we want to make sure that the Degas cap is actually sealed, that we're not leaking at 5 pounds, and that's all it's allowing it to build. So we'll get back there. If it's wet, like it's been puking, then I'm gonna throw a cap on it, we'll go for another drive, and we'll see what happens. If I get back and it hasn't puked, well, then we haven't replicated the situation, and it's only building 5 pounds, because that's an option too. You know, a healthy truck, 5, 6, 7 pounds, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's healthy, but the way it's staying, I think we got a leak. One of these days I'll catch something on video happening really stupid. Another acceleration, you can't really see it very well. And normally, if it's gonna puke, it won't really hit hard until it's in high gear, torque converter locked, because that's when it actually builds a boost. When you're just going up through the gauges, head gasket's got to be pretty bad to see it right here. It's when you're in high gear, torque converter locked, and it's pretty much locked in, and you can actually build boost and put some pressure in the cylinder. That's when, like right here. in it pretty hard. I'm doing 80, 90, and it's still under 4 pounds. So either the system's good or the cap is leaking. Now I'm sure this isn't the case, but there are times on 03s and 04s with that camshaft they got in it where the physical pedal bouncing up and down, it's so responsive that, I mean, a little whiskey throttle thing going on, but I'm sure that's not what's happening, because normally a guy knows his truck. But I mean, it has been known to happen. If your foot just moves a little bit, it feels like it, but we'll just keep feeling. I'm just throwing ideas out. Let's give it a little, let me find IPR here. 60, oh, you can't see it. No, I just felt it. I just felt a little stumble. I'm just gonna have to drive it a little bit. I did feel it. It was little though. If that was, I mean, once again, you know, the road condition, the throttle pedal. But I thought I felt something. We'll see if it rears its head. Hopefully it's something that will actually be prevalent enough that, you know, I can figure out what the heck it is. I mean, as far as turbo though, I mean, 22 pounds, honestly, I wouldn't even address it. We got all nose across there, variants, stuck vanes, all that stuff. It's all good. That's nice for an 03. The last one we did with the 132B. Yeah, this is one truck that's not suffering from it. Which is crazy because it's only 109,000 miles. So the argument isn't that every single early or low miles truck that has some age on it needs a turbo clean. With the VGT turbo though, it's not far-fetched. I did just get an idea, and we're gonna figure out, man, my hair's always looking all weird. I did just get an idea about this diag. I think I'm gonna screen share. I think I'm gonna start recording the screen share and use the camera on the laptop to get a picture up in the side. I wonder if I can figure out how to do that, because I really don't know how to do hardly any of this online technology stuff. So I'm trying to figure it out. But it'd be real nice if you could see. Oh, if I could have it set up with an external camera. Ooh, I got some ideas. Like to see the dash. Like to see, yeah. Okay, so that was off in a rant. Edit that out. So this is going to be a fairly long video. So it doesn't look wet as of right now. Doesn't even have a lot of pressure in it. That doesn't look very good right there. Like our connection is probably... Let me seal that up a little better. Okay, we have this very primitive setup to test Degas caps. Let's throw it down to 15, but it'll go down once I thread it on. Put it on and thread it on. Oh God, 25 pounds. Oh, we about saw something fun. Oh, that's leaking too. Actually had to pull some hoses out of the archive department here. This is our little tester. We put it together quite a few years ago, and all the plugs that were on it were dry rotted and falling apart. So we're gonna do this. This is how we're gonna test it. I've just got this bottle laying around and throw it on there. Let's see what happens. Okay, the gauge reads at 7 to start. Turn that down. Let's see what we got here. So 17 is 10 pounds. Tell her to stop. But it would have to leak at like 12 pounds. Because it's going to 5. Hey, turn that air off, will you? We got to make it quiet in here. I mean, it could be. It's leaking at 10 pounds. I know it says 17, but one of these days I can buy a new gauge. But it's leaking at 10 pounds, so it's obviously not 16. So there's your cap. I'm gonna put a line on it. Whatever, that's his cap. We got a new one. Motorcraft one might as well. I mean, the Dorman ones honestly are not that bad either. They work good too. So if you buy a bottle, if you replace the bottle, just buy an O'Reilly's one, honestly, and run the Dorman cap. Because just to say you got a Motorcraft cap don't mean squat. I mean, Motorcraft's crap anyways lately. Oh God, look out. It's not even venting. Oh God. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. At 25. So a brand new one vents at 25. See it? There you go. So I say 25. 25 means that my gauge is actually at 9 pounds rather than 7. I mean, if that spring in there is actually doing 16 pounds. Here we go. Just, yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and test his one more time since we did the other one at 25. Let's go for it. Stand back. Oops. You might catch something going on video. See, it's leaking now. So it's leaking early. So it is early. It's leaking at 20, not 25. You heard it pop. I heard it pop right there when the spring went. Listen. Oh, I got to release all the tension. Release all of it. Let the spring go back down. Now, here we go. Let's watch it again. You can hear it pop. Oh, now it's not even going to pop. Now it's just going to release. Okay, so we changed the clamp. Put a different cap on it. Let's see what happens. Hopefully that stays sealed up. Honestly, I like those spring clamps a lot better. Those, whatever, personal preference. Okay, so we reset it back down on the peg. We kind of don't want it to move at all now, or very little. See what it cooled off to. So we probably have a map sensor. See, we should be at 133 at idle, 130 at key on, and we're idling right now and we're still only at 1.29. So we're a little low. We could not even be looking at a turbo issue. We could have cleaned that map hose, potentially replaced the map hose, just potentially. These mass airflow sensors, I swear that they're actually good. I mean, I don't know how many times, not very many times have I had to replace a mass airflow sensor. You see it bouncing between 145 and 134 or something like that, whatever the numbers are. And mass airflow should be 144. So, I mean, mass airflow appears to be functioning just fine. Map sensor showing a hair low though. As of right now, it still has not came off the peg. As of right now, it's still on the peg. As of right now, it has not moved yet. I've driven it for not much, but let's go for a little longer drive this time. Now it had a little incident go on right here. I don't know what they're doing. Not focusing camera. I don't know what they're doing right there. They were stopped on the get on ramp. I was watching the Degas gauge, giving a little throttle at a hammer on the brakes. About had a little get to know each other moment on this car. We've got to still have a leak because it still hasn't. Either that or the head gaskets are good. I mean, if the head gaskets are good, that would justify that because it's still on the peg and I'm going mad. Let's see what kind of boost we're at. MGP, I'm pushing 10 pounds of boost right now, just steady. See how much we get right here. Let's build a little. I'm going up a hill. Hey, 25 pounds, that's pretty good. Okay, it just came off the peg. Good, all right. What I'm getting at right there is we could waste a whole bunch of time if we drive along with a hose leaking or a coolant leaking and try and do a Degas test. It's sick of wasting time doing that. So at least it came up off the peg, that's good. That means we're getting a little bit of pressure on it. Let's see what happens. I got freaking Dodge in the way. Guys, I'm kind of in it. I'm building 22 pounds of pressure right now. Honestly, if the head gaskets are bad, I mean, they're barely bad. If you have I don't want to say that they're absolutely good just because it's a machine and things can change at any given moment. At any given moment. But right now we've got maybe 1 pound in it. maybe 1 pound. So, and remember, the reason why it's at 1 pound is what we have already heated up the coolant. Coolant's already expanded. So when you release the pressure and cap it back off, you actually, it should be already expanded. There's no reason for more pressure now in a healthy truck. So right now it looks like we got a healthy truck. So as of this moment, and the boost, I wouldn't even mess with the boost. I'm gonna keep driving it. Let's see if I can figure out this. Oh, there's stumble. Let me look at injectors while we're doing this. I'm gonna put Tanner on figuring out how to basically, I'm gonna get Tanner on to figure out how to have this screen that's on the camera, that's on the start over. I'm gonna figure out how to broadcast our screen. This screen with maybe this camera being used and an external USB camera that I could show the dash. I'm gonna go on to Odessa. We're gonna go a little further. That I could have a camera here to show the dash and to show external things. But I would like for you guys to be able to see this screen a lot better than me holding the freaking camera up there. It's so annoying. So we're gonna see if we can't get that figured out. What I'm getting at is I'd like for you guys to see a lot more information than I'm showing because of driving down the road trying to record how much boost you got, what the IPR percentage and VGT percentage and number 3 injector drop. No, it's a pain in the butt. So we'll get off the boost for a minute, even though we got potential map sensor, clean the hose. Let's see if at the potential chance that an injector is dropping and that's what's causing the surge. Bummer is we gotta just watch it. The history line will kind of tell you a little bit if it does it consistently, but I'm not feeling it at all right now. Yeah, guys, this is Mount Odessa now, which most of you don't know where that is. About 10 miles, 12 miles, and it's got maybe 2 pounds in it. 13 degrees on the oil cooler. I mean, could be better, could be worse. You're borderline, right on the edge. I'm also driving too fast. I'm doing 80 right now, so we'll slow it down and check it when we get back. Battery volt's pretty low, 13 and a half. Yes, I do have the air conditioner on, so the blower motor does take a little bit of power, so 13.5. Of course, it's daylight, so I don't have the lights on. We'll have to get back and look and see if we have a leak. It actually went down just a little bit, but it could be it cooled off, because it did cool off. It went down to 194. It wasn't. I think that's minuscule though. Well, it's starting to build a little pressure, just a little bit now. Nowhere near problematic area at all, but at least it's building. It's got about 3 pounds in it now. For this right here, I mean, I'm really not going to be able to test oil cooler. I mean, I'm riding 80 mile an hour. Honestly, just trying to keep the torque converter locked, and on these grades that come up here, I just give it a little boost, try to boost. I don't doubt. It doesn't do any good to do a degas test when the engine downshifts. It doesn't, I mean, you're not testing nothing when you hammer on it and it downshifts. Like I said earlier, the torque converter needs to be locked, and then you build boost and it's locked in. Like right here, see, I'm kind of speeding up a little bit, but I'm just honestly trying to stay on the road. What I'm getting at is you cannot really test an oil cooler running 80 miles an hour. It's just not going to happen. You're running it too hard. You can't get a consistent, reliable number. I'm going to try to run it, idle it down a little bit, let it run down a little lower, maybe get about 65 or so, and let's see. I thought I was feeling that stumbling little surge. Just kind of slow it down and honestly just trying to feel the pedal. Trying to feel with it. Yeah, I mean, anything that I have felt so far for a surge has been very minuscule, and I actually had to think back and say, ooh, is that a surge? So if that's the case, then I obviously have not seen yet what the issue is. What I'm getting at. So the real gig would be to let it cool all the way off now, which is a drag because, you know, we're fighting time and it's 90 degrees outside, 80 degrees outside. So we're fighting time to cool it off, and the shop's all full, so I can't pull it in the air conditioning. We're just going to have to let it cool off. Let it cool off and do it again is what we need to do, and see what kind of pressure it builds. And now that we opened the cooling system while it was hot, we really need to make sure to let it cool all the way off and then open the cap again to reset the pressure inside the cooling system. Because I've seen it make a vacuum before. I've seen it actually suck the coolant hoses in when it cools down. And that's absolutely counterproductive for boil over protection. Counterproductive, because you're not gonna, you basically have got to run it for half hour or however long it takes, who knows. You have to run it just to get it to zero to where it's not a vacuum. So yeah, make sure if you ever do this and you open it up, make sure you open it up again when it's cold to let it reset, let all the pressure inside the cooling system. That way it's not under vacuum. Feel a little bit of stuff in the pedal. Sounds like a repetitive, almost like a knocking sound. Look at this dumbass. Look, right next to a truck. What an idiot. I mean, it'd be nice to, you know, chop their freaking head off and throw them in the landfill. That'd be nice. Stupid freaking people. Look at them up there acting all crazy. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and call that good for right now. If we get any more indications, it's funny. I mean, that's cool. That's a good outcome right there. So moral of the story, don't freak out. It's only $20.